Hello and welcome to the DashFight YouTube channel. My name is Mosquito, and for those who know me, yes, I'm still alive. And for those who don't know me, I am a character specialist from Germany. I've been playing Eddy Gordo for over 12 years now. I've been considered to be the best Eddy player in Europe for the majority of Tekken 7's lifespan, and I entered a lot of tournaments during Tekken 7. I even caused a couple of upsets against some of the best players in Europe. And yeah, today I want to talk about Eddy Gordo in Tekken 8. But before we start, make sure to subscribe to the DashFight YouTube channel if you want to get more character guides like this, and check out the website for all things FGC. Okay, so what is Eddy all about? I would say that he is about keeping your opponent out with long range attacks. Yeah, he has a lot of tools that hit from very far away, as you can see. And these tools are just meant to be used to keep your opponent out. And he can even use it as poking tools, as you can see here. They hit from very far away. And yeah. The next thing that he is very good at is forcing mix-ups. Which is up to the player. If you want to, you can play very defensive, as I said, with the keep out tools he has. But if you just want to go in, Eddy now actually has the tools that are quite strong, at least stronger than in the previous titles. Like for example, his 443 is just an amazing low, one of the best lows in the game, arguably. And it is +6 on hit. It leaves Eddy in his Negativa stance right in front of his opponent. And it's basically a 50-50 if he goes for the Hell Sweep or if he does the mid-heat engager. Yeah, he also, of course, has safer options from that. He can just go for the first hit of the heat engager and try to hit confirm it, which is possible, but I would say rather difficult. But with some practice, I think it's doable. And if you don't even want to risk it at all, you can just go for a safe mid that he also has access to. And he actually has access to this move as well. So yeah, he can force pretty strong mix-ups on the opponent, but he can also run away very well. His backdash got nerfed from the previous title. But it's still very good, I would say, and it's sadly not a good comparison to Tekken 7, unfortunately, but it is still quite good and can be used very well in this game. So one of the better moves to use to take advantage of Eddy's long range is down forward 2. As you can see, down forward 2 puts pushes the opponent back quite far, and it sets up for basically a bait to whiff punish the opponent. If the opponent just tries to do like a simple jab or a safe approach option, it could easily whiff, especially if Eddy just decides to backdash afterwards. Just one backdash is enough to create this huge amount of space, and if the opponent actually presses into it, he comes closer to you. So he is putting himself into the situation of whiffing right in front of Eddy's face, which can be punished heavily by launching the opponent, of course. Like this attack, for example, the quarter circle forward 3 would still hit the opponent from that range, where like a simple jab obviously would whiff already. Yeah, down forward 1 as well, back 1. Like all these pokes, this is not poking range anymore. This is like baiting out a whiff punish range, right? So yeah. Okay, but what do you do if your opponent doesn't always fall for this spacing trap? You want to start pressuring your opponent, and Eddy has now access to a lot of moves that leave him in plus frames, which wasn't the case before as well. Most of the moves he had before were only plus on hit. Now he actually has access to a couple of moves that leaves him plus on block. For example, his running 3 is +8 on block, and it is actually also a mix-up of like what you do and how the opponent needs to respond to this. The basic mix-up behind this is if your opponent tries to do anything besides blocking, then he gets counter hit by his Bananera 4, which is a counter hit launcher, which I will demonstrate here. So if the opponent tries to press something, Eddy gets a full combo from it, which is very risky to do. So what if your opponent doesn't press anything because he is aware of that? Well, after that you can get access to another move that is really plus on block, which leaves Eddy in front of the opponent in his other stance, which is his Negativa stance, right? So now he's +6 and still right in front of the opponent, and he's setting a Negativa stance where he has access, as I told you, to his Hell Sweep or his Heat Engager. And yeah, so this is how you could start your offense. You could also use moves like forward 4-3+4, which is +3 on block, which is quite good at the wall, since if it clips the opponent, it actually wall splats. So you get a full combo from that. Other than that, you get a knockdown on open ground. And yeah, this is also quite a good move. It also has a lot of range, right? So it it reaches from very, very far away. One of its other, I would say this still counts as a neutral tool, is his crouching mix-up. He has access to a low and this plus on block mid, which again, it leaves Eddy at +6 in Negativa stance right in front of the opponent. And he can mix it up with his low, which is the full crouch 4, which leaves him in Bananera stance at +9. So again, he can do the same mix up as landing the running 3 on block. But you need to be aware of these big moves are quite linear. I will demonstrate this right now. Let me set... yeah, he will actually... I will set Kazuya to actually take a jab, and afterwards he steps to his left, right? So if I just do that, I'm +8, by the way, after landing a jab. I try to enforce my running mix-up to get the plus frames. It doesn't work. It just simply whiffs. Same for forward 4-3+4. And I can even create a different situation where he can use... when he does his back 1, he's +8 on hit. And back 1 leaves Eddy in crouching. So from that, after being +8, you'd say, oh, okay, it's a free mix-up between his low and his mid that gives me plus frames, right? So if you try to apply his mid to get the safe plus frames, you can see it whiffs. So this is the general problem that you have to overcome when playing Eddy, that a lot of his good tools are very linear. I can even show you a different example. Like if you want to, let me check. Here, if you even land in this situation, right? I set Kazuya to step to his right. And you know about the game that if he presses into it, you can just launch him. But he won't fall for that. Instead, he just goes for a sidestep because it's not that big of a deal, right? If he sidesteps, he gets clipped by this move, but it's just a knockdown, and it would only be a problem near the wall because it would wall splat. But in neutral, in the open space like this, it's okay, because if Eddy wants to take more plus frames, as you can see with Bananera 1, it just whiffs as well. I can even show you a different situation regarding that. Yeah, even like after landing jabs on hits, I transition into Bananera, and if I want to take my turn or to keep taking my turn and getting plus frames, Eddy's moves generally tend to whiff. Okay, now that I talked about the plus frames that you can get on block, let's talk about the plus frames that you can get from hitting your opponent, which you want to do a lot with Eddy's 4-4-3, because let's address it, it's probably his best move in his toolkit. And I will show you why it's one of the best moves. It is really strong because if you land it on counter hit, you can get a guaranteed follow-up, which is either one of his grabs that you can do from Negativa, but his biggest confirm is obviously his guaranteed heat engager, which is Negativa 4-3, right? So if you land that, you get this guaranteed for 50 damage, heat engager plus 17, and if you already have heat activated and you land this, you can already guess it's a full launcher from a move that is -14 on block. I would say it's still very good. It was -13 when this game launched, but to be fair, it was really broken. Not against Kazuya, of course, because he has a while standing 13 frame Punisher, so he can actually launch Eddy. But now that it's -14 on block, block everything. Oh wait. So it's -14 on block now. A lot more characters get to launch punish Eddy, whereas before that they only got the 13 frame while standing Punisher, which for most characters is not that great. Like sometimes a knockdown move or just plus frames. Eddy himself struggles to do anything towards that move because he has the while standing 13 frame launch Punisher, but it's a high. And if you block this move from Eddy, Eddy recovers crouching, so you need to do a mid. What Eddy himself needs to do in order to punish this is his crouch grab, basically, because it's 12 frames fast. Or, of course, you can just do while standing 4-4. But it's only 23 damage. Compared to Kazuya, who can launch Eddy for doing that, it's a big difference. Yeah. So, as I told you, he has different axes and mind games in that stance, and it consists of going for the hell sweep, which gives Eddy one level of his stack, which is called the Mandinga, and I will go into this later on, what the stack actually does. But yeah, he can choose between going for the hell sweep or the heat engager, as I've shown before. He can also just straight up try to launch you, which is also quite risky for Eddy, to be fair, because you can launch punish him back. But it's still a quite strong mind game, of course. Okay, now that we talked about his arguably strongest move, let's explore his other neutral tools. If you don't want to go ham and risk your life by, especially against Kazuya, by doing 4-4-3 or whiffing while running 3, because it's very linear, you can just go for simple moves like his jabs, for example, which are quite good in this game. Like he used to have different kind of jabs that didn't reach this far. Like usually from this range, it would already whiff. And now his jabs are a little bit better, I would say, when it comes to range, but they track less, if I remember correctly. And you can, if you use it as a 10 frame punish, for example, you can also go into his Bananeda stance to continue your pressure, of course, where you have access to all kinds of moves and mind games. If you want to have moves that are a little bit more viable when it comes to tracking, you can use this down forward 1. It even has an extension, down forward 1-3, And it's okay to catch the sidesteps of the opponents, especially to Eddy's left. But it can still be stepped to Eddy's right. If this happens, back 1 comes in handy because it tracks to both sides quite well. It is not a homing move, but the tracking is like very good. And it's 14 frames fast, just like his down forward 2. And I think it even tracks more than his down forward 2, but I'm not very sure. But either way, both of these tools are very good at poking, especially his down forward 2, because as I mentioned before, you usually, if the opponent blocks one of these moves, you give up your turn, right? And if you give up your turn, like in this scenario, for example, you're -7 and there's no space between you and your opponent, you put yourself in a bad situation, right? Whereas with down forward 2, you create space. Yeah, you have a safe option, which is only -5 on block. It pushes the opponent very far away. It has good tracking, and you basically reset the situation. Of course, the reward for landing that move is not that high, since it just leaves you at +6, and it doesn't do anything in particular with the opponent. In Tekken 7, it used to knock down, but it doesn't do that anymore. It only does that on counter hit, where you get this flip over animation. You don't get anything guaranteed after that, but at the wall, it's a wall split. So at least at the wall, you would get a full combo conversion, which is quite rare, I would say, to get this, but it's very good to know to have this as an option. Because again, it's quite quick and it can catch people off guard. Let's talk about Eddy's lows and how to use them. Eddy has a variety of lows, and here are my suggestions on what low to use in order to achieve a specific thing during a match. So, for example, if you want to end the game as a round ender, I would suggest using either down forward 4, since it's one of Eddy's safest lows, especially from a neutral position. It's only -12, so you don't risk much. But it only does like 14 damage, so you have to be like very sure that this is going to be the killing blow. But as I said, other than that, even if it gets blocked, you won't get punished very hard for it. Another low to use as a round ender is his down back 2. To be fair, this is one of the riskier moves to use, but the range is very good. So at this range, your opponent will probably not think of you being able to reach him, and especially as a round ender, this is going to be very handy, since it will surprise your opponent, and is also a high crush. So even if your opponent tries to play it safe and tries to jab his way into your space, you could high crush his attempts. Okay, if you want to use lows that are that give you plus frames, you can use lows like down 3 or down back 3. They kind of work the same. They give you a good advantage. In this case, it's +1 with down 3. It's also a high crush move, but it's -14 on block. This is the same for down back 3, but down back 3 does more damage. It gives you more plus frames on hit, but it is way slower than down 3, and it doesn't give you a high crush. So you have to decide by yourself when you want to use which move. Usually down back 3 is not seen so often, simply because it's reactable. Only the animation is a little bit weird, so that your opponent might not block it just because of the animation, but usually it is reactable. Another move that gives you plus frames is sidestep 4. It is also a high crush. It does a total of 17 damage, since it's 2 hits, and it's +3 and only -13 on block, so against most of the cast it's rather safe, and it's also a high crush. The move itself is around 20 frames slow, And on top of that, you have to consider that sidestep moves come out a little bit slower than in the previous Tekken title. So it's actually, yeah, on the verge of being reactable. And then, of course, there's forward 4-3, which we already talked about a lot. There's one final low that I want to talk about, and is one of the moves that I use very often, and it's Eddy's down 4. Simply because it's very fast, it's unreactable with 15 frames. It leaves you at -5 on hit, which is very odd. And this move is considered to be used more as a mind game. Since it has a mid follow-up, which is only -13, and the reward behind it is very good because you get a free grab, which gives you either damage or lets you enter heat. And it can also be combined to be used with up back 2. Since this move has an auto sidestep and can be used from crouching, it is quite good to be used with down 4 together, especially because your opponent might tend to press after seeing that you only do down 4 because he's not afraid of the mid. Then the mind game come into play, where you are able to sidestep his counter attack if he wants to get his turn back, basically. And yeah, I use that a lot. I like it, and sometimes I just go, depending on the character I'm fighting against, I just end with the mid afterwards, and a lot of people get I catch a lot of people with that, and the reward is very nice. So now that we covered his neutral and what he generally wants to do, let's talk about his punishment. So as I mentioned before, for his 10 frame punish, he has his jabs, which are +8 on hit. And he can also decide to go into his Bananera stance, where he is only +3 on hit, and he can choose to either frame trap or try to go for plus frames. He has also access to a grab, which is unbreakable with his Bananera 2+4, or I think even with 1+3 should be working as well, as you can see here. And yeah, as I said, it is unbreakable, but it is a high, so the opponent needs to duck it in order to evade this grab. He also gains a new Punisher for 10 frame, which is 1-3. It does more damage than just the regular jabs, and it leaves him in Negativa stance, which is quite good. It leaves him at +7, which also opens up to his mix-ups from Negativa. Sometimes, or most of the times, after a single backdash, the Hell Sweep from Negativa is not guaranteed anymore, since you need to be point blank to get the clean hit to work so that your opponent actually trips. So it would sometimes happen that you would only get... let me try this. Oh god. Wait. Yeah, this would happen, right? So it doesn't trip the opponent. It leaves Eddy at -13, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, it jails, so the opponent cannot duck it if the first hit landed. But obviously, if they try to block the first hit in the first place, you just get launched. So yeah, his 10 frame punish can open up mix-ups as well. At 12 frames, he has his standing 2-1 for 23 damage and +2 frames. But he also has his standing 2-3, which does more damage. It gives him also more plus frames at +8, but you are forced into his Bananera stance, which is also kind of sad in my opinion. I would have loved for him to be able to cancel it into standing, but maybe that would have been too strong. Yeah, for his 13 frame punish, he has his down forward 1-3, which is a very good addition to his punishment game, I would say. It is a knockdown, as you can see, and near the wall is just a straight up wall splat. So if your opponent panics and at the wall and he just throws out a hop kick, hop kicks are usually at least -13. You can just straight up, yeah, launch them basically at the wall, which is very nice. And at 14 frames, he has, I would say, 2 moves, like back 1 and down forward 2, which I don't recommend using because, as you can see, the only reward you get is plus frames, and not a lot of damage. So I would recommend at -14 to just stick to down forward 1-3. And of course, at -15 frames, Eddy can launch the opponent with down forward 3, which is also like very good when it comes to range. Like he can launch moves that on block that other characters very much struggle to launch punish, where Eddy's down forward 3 is quite well at doing so. His while standing punishment is also quite straightforward, I would say, because he has like access to 3 launches from crouching. The only thing that doesn't launch is his while standing 4-4, which is his 11 frame punish. His while standing 1-3 is a launcher, as you can see here, but you need to remember that the first hit is a high. And near the wall, I would not recommend doing this, but rather while standing 1-4 to get a wall split and then get a full combo afterwards. At 15 frames from while standing or from crouching, he has his while standing 2, which is a launcher, a very devastating launcher, as you can see. You get a full combo from that. And for anything above 19 frames, you can even get a while standing 3, which can be useful if the range for the while standing 2 doesn't reach, but I would argue that it's not very useful to do while standing 3 as a launch punisher from crouch. It has more range than while standing 2, but it uses up the tornado, so your combo will be shorter than if you would go for while standing 2, of course. Yeah, those are Eddy punishers. Okay, now let's talk about Eddy's Okizeme options, which are his grounded options, basically. So what moves can you do to harass your opponent when he's just lying on the ground? And he has actually quite a lot of tools to hit the opponent. My go-to option is his quarter circle forward 3, because it flips the opponent over and it resets the situation basically in your favor. And it almost hits like from any, like it hits from very far away as well. So your opponent does not have a good time when he just stays on the ground all the time after that move. You could always go for 4-4-4 as well, for if you want to go for more damage, since quarter circle forward 3 only does 16 damage. It's 4-4-4, does 20 damage. It also gives you the flip over animation, but you are stuck in Eddy's Bananera stance, which means you cannot really follow up from this. You just have to find a way to cancel it, which eats up time, of course, so you give away your turn. Yeah, but other moves are his 4-4-3 as well. Again, this is one of his best moves. It also hits grounded opponents, and as you can see, it flips the opponent to his back or to his stomach. Yeah, it can be quite useful to know that near the wall. Smaller attacks that you can use to hit your opponent on the ground is down 4 or is down 3, even down back 4. So basically all of these lows that he has hit grounded. And yeah, if you go for a read, like your opponent is standing laying on the ground for way longer than he should, then you can use even his up 3, which does massive damage with 24 damage. But it's quite slow, obviously, so maybe your opponent can even react to that move. Okay, so now that we talked about the basic stuff with Eddy, let's talk about his heat game. For that, I will go over each heat engager that he has and what the advantages and disadvantages are. So let's start with, in my opinion, probably the strongest one. It's back 3+4. It's really strong because, as you can see, it is a power crush, so it can absorb hits. It is safe on block at -9, but it is a high. Like, that's the only downside. But other than that, it's just a really good heat engager and a very good panic move since it's a power crush. Next up we have standing 4-4, which is safe on block. It's a 2-hit string. It's not guaranteed on normal hit. It is guaranteed on counter hit though. So since it is also very fast, it's only 13 frames and it's a mid. It has a long range, as you can see. It is very good move to interrupt your opponent when he's being too aggressive. The only downside that it has is that it is jump interruptible, as I mentioned it before. If the opponent blocks the first move, he can jab interrupt you after that and float combo you. Next up we have forward 3+4. That move is also really amazing because it has very good reach, as you can see. It is safe on block as well. It is quite fast at 19 frames, and yeah, just a good move overall to throw out every now and then. Next up we have the Negativa 4-3, which is -13, like the only move that is actually punishable, the only hit engager that's actually punishable. And it's mostly used after making your opponent block something that leaves you plus in relax, for example, and Negativa stance, for example, to mix it up with the hell sweep that Eddy has, of course. Other than that, it's obviously guaranteed after counter 4-4-3. So there's that. There's also an application where you can use it as a frame trap after your opponent blocks your quarter circle 4-4. If you still have heat left, it's actually like uninterruptible, this sequence here. And to make it safe, yeah, you can just heat dash out of it. So once you have heat gauge left and you manage that the opponent doesn't duck your approach, you can do this for yeah, a true block string basically. If they try to do anything, if they try to rage art or power crush, they will get hit by that and you will get a full heat dash combo. And the last heat engager that Eddy has, it's his crouch grab, specifically his down 1+3. So this crouch grab is guaranteed after a couple of moves, like for example counter hit 1+2, and after a normal hit down back 1+2, and after getting a counter hit down 4-3. You don't need like the counter hit on the whole string. It's just necessary that the second hit hits the opponent and then you can crouch grab them. Also very important to mention is that if you already have heat activated, you see that you can regain one of the a little bit of the drive gauge by using that crouch throw. Once you have heat activated with Eddy, you get access to 3 additional moves. One of these moves is obviously his heat smash, which is +6 on block and leaves Eddy in relax right in front of your opponent. So you can start your mix up from here. And the other 2 moves are standing 3+4, which is a launcher, a normal hit launcher. And it is actually +9 on block, so it's a very strong move. And I will show you what you can do with this on block if you have at least one level of Mandinga. Which is, I'm gonna hit a heat engager right now, so I have the full drive gauge, and then you can see what kind of situation you can put your opponent in. So this sequence is by no means uninterruptible, but it is very scary. Since we already discussed that after being at least +8, like after the running 3 of Eddy gets blocked, you get a frame trap for handstand 4-2, which is a counter launcher. So, oh, that was off axis. Yeah, counter launcher like this. And yeah, if your opponent tries to press something after that, he runs into the threat of getting counter launched. And because of that threat, you can just basically yeah, mix him up with the Mandinga. And this is one of the best uses or best situations to use your Mandinga stack. After that, Eddy also gains access to this move. It's a high, also +9 on block. It's quarter circle forward 4. It is a very strong, I think even his strongest wall splat move. It does 45 damage with the wall damage included. So yeah, that's very strong. The only thing that you can get guaranteed afterwards is going into a tornado move instantly, and without spending his heat, of course. But yeah, it's very strong. One thing to note is that his heat smash is not a wall splat. It is only a balcony or wall break. Okay, so let's talk about the new mechanic that Eddy got in Tekken 8, which is called Mandinga. It is on the left side of the heat gauge. There's a small symbol that fills up after you hit certain moves. And it gives you access to 2 new moves from Eddy's Bananera stance. It is important to note that it resets every single round. So every time you gain access to one level or even both levels of Mandinga, if you finish the round, it gets reset to 0. There are in total 3 moves that can give you 1 level of Mandinga, and those 3 moves is Hell Sweep from Negativa, which is probably the move that is most likely to happen in neutral, since you often get into a situation where you are in a mix-up situation right in front of your opponent in the Negativa stance. So yeah, this is most likely to happen. But you are still able to hit the other moves in neutral in realistic scenarios as well, I would say. The 2-3 from Bananera, for example, is very delayable, so you can see if you hit the first hit, you can confirm the second hit. And if you don't follow through with it, the Bananera 2 is safe on its own, so you don't have to continue the string if you're not feeling comfortable. And yeah, with the last move, it's down back 4-4, which is usually going to be your combo ender. But it also has very good range, as you can see here. And it can be used as a whiff punisher as well. So if you get the feeling that a move that you just blocked or the spacing is that good that down back 4 could hit and your opponent whiffs a move, and down 4-3, for example, doesn't reach, then you can just go for down back 4-4. Be careful though, because the second hit is a high, so it can be ducked if the opponent blocks the first hit. But yeah, usually that's because usually you want to end a combo with one of that moves. Since during a combo the opponent cannot block, and it is best to end the combo with one of these moves. You actually sacrifice a little bit of damage compared to the max damage combo, but since this is the thing that you want to do the most, it rarely comes into play. And if I remember correctly, most of the time it's only 1 point of damage that you are sacrificing. So it's not that bad. And yeah, so the question is, what moves do you actually get? So I'm gonna get 1 level of Mandinga now. You get back 4 from Bananera stance, which is this flip over move basically. He does a backflip, and it is a low crush, as you can see from the animation. So he actually jumps in the air. So if the opponent does a low or even a dig jab, Eddy will jump over it. As you can see, it is +8 on hit, so you're at a big advantage when you hit it, and it's also +6 on block, which is also very good to keep your pressure going. What you can also do is to hold down afterwards, and yeah, you enter again in Negativa stance with still +6 in front of your opponent. So you can use the first level of Mandinga to... oh, I don't have it anymore since I reset. So you can use the first level of Mandinga to get access to a second level, like this. Yeah, or at least the threat of getting the second level, right? Once you actually manage to get the second level, what it does is that it powers up both of the moves, and in this case for back 4 it knocks down, and at the wall, I'm just gonna set it like this, it is actually a wall split, so you get a full conversion. So let's only activate the first state and talk about the other move that he gets. The other move that he gets is a low. It's Bananera 3+4. So you can see it does 28 damage. It's pretty nice. It's +4 on hit, and it is -13 on block though. The frames on block don't change if he has the second level of Mandinga, but what this move does is that it actually knocks the opponent to the ground, and it will break the floor, where the mid will wall split and break the wall. This move breaks the floor, so be aware of stage hazards that you can abuse when you have the second level of Mandinga unlocked, because it can turn into a combo starter. The mid can also be used very occasionally as a combo tool near the wall. It can spike the opponent to the ground, and you can get a guaranteed follow-up. I will demonstrate it with this small combo, like this. So you can see the final hit, the Negativa 3+4 is guaranteed in that situation. It is actually the max damage combo at the wall, but it can be quite tricky to set it up. The thing that I found out is that you can, after basically any wall splat move, you can do a quick backdash and then go into that move to make it always connect, but you have to be aware that you have to be at least +6. As you can see at the frame advantage, I was +7, but you have to be at least a +6 in order for the Negativa 3+4 to be guaranteed. Which can be, as I said, quite tricky when it comes to the spacing of that move. In this case I was -11, so nothing was guaranteed. It wasn't like a real floor splat or spike, as you would call it. So yeah, that's kind of tricky to use. But yeah, anyway, so what you want to do with the Mandinga is in neutral, make your opponent block that move. And when it comes to the mid, when it comes to the low, it's just an additional threat that Eddy doesn't have really from handstand, because if you paid attention to the move list, Eddy doesn't have a low from Bananera. He only has mids, and the only reason why the opponent would duck is his unbreakable grab, which is a high. Now you, with the threat of a low, you can actually force other mids to be more threatening in this situation, but you have to remember as well that yeah, this low is -13 on block, so you may get punished more or less heavily for for doing that. So to summarize what Eddy's strengths and weaknesses are, his strengths are, as I mentioned before, his good keep out tools and his panic tools. Like I said, he has a very strong 13 frame mid-mid counter hit heat engager, which hits from very far away. If the opponent is closer to you and you want to get out of that situation, you can always threat with back 3, since it's a 13 frame counter hit confirmable launcher. Other than that, he has, of course, his Power Crush, which is also a heat engager, and he has access to moves like down back 1+2 or up back 2, which have the one is a backswing blow, the other one has a built-in sidestep. And to top all of that, or on top of all of that, you have access to a somewhat safe hop kick, which is useful if you think that your opponent is going to do a low that leaves your opponent standing, like it doesn't high crush. Then you basically have access to a safe kind of hop kick. Other than that, he has his long range attacks that are very good for whiff punishing your opponent, like his launchers, like down forward 3, quarter circle forward 3 is very good. Forward 3+4, which is a safe way to try to whiff punish your opponent. Down back 4-4, which also hits from very far away, gives Eddy 1 level of Mandinga. And his back 2 strings, either back 2-3 or back 2-4. Yeah, he has a lot of ways to whiff punish the opponent. And for his final strength, his mix-ups that he can force pretty easily, as I said before, the easiest way to force his Negativa mix-ups is by just hitting 4-4-3, which is not hard to hit. It hits also from very far, since it's a forward input. You move forward a lot, and you can be a threat from like this range here. It still hits, and yeah, you can easily apply the mix-up if you go for the hell sweep or a mid-heat engager or something else, right? Everything is up to you what you're gonna do after that. Another easy way to force is mix-up is, for example, is running 3 on block. As I said, it's +8 on block. You can try to continue your plus frames with handstand 1. And at the wall, for example, it's also like very good to notice that his throw is a big threat. So this is like the main mix-up that you're going to do when you don't have at least 1 level of Mandinga, because you don't have access to a low that could be threatening from this stance. So you either go for frame traps or plus frames to shift to his stance that actually has a threatening low, or to just straight up throw your opponent and maybe get a wall splat into a full combo. But that leads us to his weaknesses. Even though they are in theory, or in theory pretty easy to force these situations, in practice they are very easily steppable. I wouldn't say it's very easy to step 4-4-3, but it is kind of easy to step it to Eddy's right. And a lot of the other moves, like I said, like running 3, even his handstand 1 is also pretty steppable, as I have showed before. So Eddy has to try to play around these situations by playing kind of risky from those stances. If he manages to get you in that position, like from handstand stance, he if he knows that the opponent is going to step his handstand 1 to keep the pressure going, Eddy needs to kind of risk his life. And by that I mean he's at least minus 13 when he chooses to throw out the whole string of his moves that could be threatening. Or he just simply dies. Like if someone ducks the throw, he can float punish Eddy for a combo, and if Eddy is in his relaxed stance and the opponent blocks the hell sweep, Eddy will get launch punished, and so it's not very in Eddy's favor to go for these mix-ups all the time. I would say there are other characters who have less riskier options for their mix-ups. I would say that Eddy's biggest weakness is that his risk reward is just not very much in his favor, and since he's already very linear in the first place, it's very hard to get these situations going in a real match. And he's forced to play sometimes forced to play small Tekken, which he doesn't really excel at. Like his down forward 1 is not very good on block, back 1 as well. Like most of the time when you try to play the small Tekken, you kind of either reset the situation or you just put yourself in disadvantage straight up. So because of that, I would say that Eddy's placement in the tier list, I in general only think that there are at maximum 3 tiers, if not even just 2 tiers, like top tiers and the rest. And I would say that Eddy is just a solid mid-tier, I would say, because as I said, the risk reward is not really in his favor. But if he gets going, he can be very annoying, and very, like, his game plan is very easy, so it's kind of easy to get things going. But once they stop going well for the Eddy player, he just dies. And for that, I think there are characters that are way more threatening and way better at what Eddy is doing right now. And that's why my final opinion is that Eddy is a mid-tier. If you disagree with this, please leave a comment in the comment section and tell me why, because I'm very open to this discussion and I want to hear your opinion on how you think Eddy places on the tier list. Thank you very much for watching this guide. I hope it will help you to start your journey with Eddy in Tekken 8. You can also check out all the things shown in this video in the text version via the link in the description. And most importantly, if you like this video, please leave a like or a comment below with your thoughts. And again, thank you very much for watching. Bye.